Hi, my name's Dominic James Murray. For those of you who don't know me yet, I'm CEO and independent financial advisor here at Cameron James. I've been working in the UK pension transfer industry for over 10 years and welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be discussing CETVs or cash equivalent transfer values. First of all, we're going to break down exactly what they are for you to understand. We're then going to go through what some of the reasons that people might consider using one are, and then look at what the type of resolution is and what the best option for you might be. So first of all, what is a CETV? Now, when it comes to the UK, there's two very different types of pension pots. You have defined contribution and you have defined benefit. When we're talking about CETVs, this is only in relation to defined benefit pensions. Defined contribution schemes do not have a cash equivalent transfer value. The reason for this is that with a defined contribution scheme, you will have your fund value. Say your fund value is £250,000. That will also be your transfer value. The only way this could move up or move down is because of market performance or charges from your existing UK scheme. So for example, if it's worth £250,000 now and the markets continue to grow as they are at the moment, in a year's time it might be worth £275,000 or £300,000, whatever the figure might be. That would then be your transfer value. So cash equivalent transfer values is not in relation to defined contribution schemes, it's only in relation to defined benefit schemes. So if you're watching this video, you can head over to either of these, defined contribution or defined benefit, if you want to learn a little bit more about them. You can also click in the links below in the description to understand more about these two pensions in detail. So a cash equivalent transfer value for your defined benefit pension scheme. What is it and why do you need it? Well, if you want to consider transferring a defined benefit pension, obtaining your CETV is going to be one of the first things which needs to happen. First off, how is a CETV calculated though? Effectively, your UK pension scheme has to say, okay, what are we going to give, what amount of money are we going to give now as a one-off benefit instead of allowing them to take it as an income during retirement? So the point of this is it means that when you reach your retirement, you can either take your pension slowly through an annuity at the normal retirement age of 60, typically 65 in the UK. So your UK scheme and the actuaries have to do some fairly complicated calculations to work out, okay, if you're now age 50 or 52, whatever it is, what value are we going to offer him now as a transfer value instead of him waiting until age 60 or 65? Now, cash equivalent transfer values, as I've mentioned in some other videos, are closely related to gilt and index in the UK at the moment. With artificially low interest rates at the moment, it means that CETV values are currently at record highs, or certainly over the past couple of years, they've been at record highs. Now, they might go up and down a little bit. Some people are always saying, now's the record high, now's the record high. It's not really true. It also depends upon your actual scheme. I had a gentleman a couple of weeks ago, it was worth £250,000. We got a second CETV because his first one expired because he'd been working with someone else initially and it had gone down by £20,000. Obviously, he asked me, Dominic, why has it gone down by £20,000? I can't give him the answer. The answer is inside the black box of his UK CETV. But anyway, once you've got your CET value, you can then decide whether or not you wish to transfer or not. So a lot of my clients say to me, well, Dominic, can't you just tell me straight away, have I got a good CETV or have I got a bad CETV? Now, I might be able to give a general opinion. I can look through, I've read hundreds of CETVs, I can probably even thousands. I can look through it and understand, okay, I think he's getting a reasonably good deal here, or I think he's getting a bad deal here. And we do this by working out the multiples. So a multiple is effectively saying, if they were offering you, say, £10,000 at your retirement for your normal retirement age, if they're offering you a cash equivalent transfer value of £300,000, they're offering you a multiple of 30 times. If they're offering you £400,000, it would be 40 times. The higher this multiple goes up, the greater chance it would be that your cash equivalent transfer value is a good deal for you. Now, it's very important for me to stipulate, and the FCA are very sharp on this, we have to be clear that we have to start off from a situation that a final salary pension transfer is not in your best interests. We have to build any rationale as to why obtaining your CETV and taking it now would be a better solution for you. So then we have to look at the conflict that clients go through. On the one hand, they've got their CETV in the UK, or they've got their pension pod in the UK. They now have a CETV, which is a piece of paper to transfer their pension. Now, this is a little bit of a dangerous thing potentially because their UK pension is very valuable. where they're transferring the scheme to, they can't guarantee what the rate of return of that policy is going to be. Now, over the past 10 years, there have been numerous instances, particularly in the offshore market, the Middle East in particular, where clients have perhaps had a very salesy financial advisor who's told them, yes, everyone should transfer their pensions, you live abroad, it's the best thing for you to do. And previously, not a lot of calculations had to go into showing whether or not it was in their best interests or not. In fact, 10 years ago, you could simply take a proof of address, passport, a CETV form, and you could transfer someone's final salary pension. That's not possible anymore. We have to go through a very rigorous advice process. Yes, it's a little bit annoying. There's now maybe 20 signatures that need to be done. It's created a lot more work on our side. It's meant clients have had to become more intelligent and they've had to research things and understand it more. But ultimately, if you transfer a pension with ourselves or any other provider, it should now be more in your interest than previously in the past where all pension transfers were completed. So that gives you a bit of background as to what a cash equivalent transfer value is. And please remember again, DCs, no cash equivalent transfer value, DB, cash equivalent transfer value. Some of my clients even, they're not quite sure whether they've got a DB or a DC. That's the main way to work it out. Generally speaking, if a UK scheme sends you a document which is 5 or 10 pages long, it's pretty simple, just asking for your name and address. This means it's a DC scheme. If the document is 40 pages long and it makes your head spin a little bit, that'll be a DB. The paperwork is quite arduous to get through. So that gives you an idea of a CETV. Now, in terms of obtaining your CETV, in 90% of instances, when we start working with our clients, we go through our advice process. As part of that, we complete our fact find and our risk profile. We also complete a letter of authority, or LOA, as we refer to it in the industry. You sign this document and we send it off to your UK scheme, and it effectively says, hi, my name's Mr. John Smith. I would like Dominic and Cameron James to be able to obtain all necessary information from my UK scheme, i.e. my CETV. Now, if clients can obtain this in advance, it brings us a couple of weeks ahead in the advice process because we don't have to obtain the information directly ourselves. However, we will always submit your letter of authority because, lo and behold, on nearly every pension transfer we've done over the past 5 years, the UK pension scheme normally always misses some type of information on the CETV. For example, commutation factors, UK funding deficit, all this information. So a lot of my clients will often say, Dominic, I've got all the information, don't need to do an LOA. And I always caveat them and say, well, actually, what's going to happen is we'll get very far down the line in your advice process. Then we'll work out we don't have one of the key factors. We will then have to submit your letter of authority to the UK scheme. It can take them up to 10 to 15 business days to process an LOA. Yes, 10 to 15 business days before they even start sending us the information. So at Cameron James, we will always do a letter of authority with you. But if you have the document already, feel free to send it through to us when you book in for an appointment, and we can have a bit of a better understanding in advance. Now, it's also important for me to understand what you would do with your CETV. Now, if any of you have one or you've seen one of these, you will note that it's a very long document. Now, they're not really designed for clients to fill out. Even financial advisory firms make many mistakes on these forms because they're super complicated. So how it works is we go through the advice process, we complete your final salary advice report for you, which is a pretty complex document which will outline whether a transfer is in your best interests or not. Your CETV value and the documentation that comes with it, that will need to be signed by yourself, sometimes ourselves as the financial advisor, and also the new pension where we'll be transferring your capital to. Typically speaking, this would be an international SIPP. For some clients living in Europe with their pension pot approaching their lifetime allowance of circa just over 1 million at the moment, we might also consider a QROPS for them. We have a separate video on SIPPs and QROPS for you to actually understand and learn more about both of those products. And you can also find in the description below the link to our website to read in more detail. So I hope that gives you a bit of a summary in terms of what a CETV is, whether you might have a good CETV or a poor multiple. But at the end of the day, it always comes down to speaking to a pension transfer specialist. Unless you're extremely good at maths and you're able to do lots of macro formulas on your Excel, you're unlikely to be able to work out for yourself whether a transfer is in your best interest. And also, it's not just about the cash equivalent transfer value. There are many other factors in your life which affect whether a transfer is in your best interests or not. For example, if you have quite a lot of other wealth outside of your UK scheme, from a compliance perspective and in terms of your retirement, you might not need this income from your UK scheme. Yes, of course, you still want it, but you don't need it right now. You don't need it at age 65. Maybe you're going to use your other liquid assets first out of your bank accounts and allow your UK pension pot to grow tax-free, no income tax, no capital gains tax, no inheritance tax, only income tax on any contributions which you take out. So actually, it could be very beneficial for you to keep this and pass it on to your beneficiaries inside a SIPP solution or a QROPS solution. So that's one of the reasons which we would look for it. So one of the big questions I have from clients is, how do I find a pension transfer specialist? If you type it in online, you're likely to find lots of people claiming to be pension transfer specialists. Now, the things that you always need to look for in your financial advisor or your financial advisory firm are they correctly regulated? For example, at Cameron James, we're FCA regulated as a company. Our financial advisors are also on the FCA register. For example, in the US, we're on the SEC register. Our advisors are on the SEC register. This is really important because it means the advice you're taking from people is regulated. Now, in the 10 years that I've been doing this, I've never had an instance of a client making a complaint, but it gives you the security that if anything were to go wrong, there's a proper financial body that you can go to with your complaint. The next thing you need to look out for is qualifications. Is your financial advisor even qualified to give you advice? Have they sat their minimum requirements in the US or in the UK to provide you with financial advice? Again, very important. If you ever ask a financial advisor for things like this and they get a little bit uptight or they start giving you reasons why you don't need it or it doesn't matter, it's a little bit of a red flag that perhaps they're not as well set up as other firms. The other thing that you should always ask your financial advisor for is testimonials. Some people will have these written maybe in a PDF format, or potentially they have Google reviews online. Things like Google reviews are very good. You can go and understand what other people have said about that financial advisor. However, one of the most valuable things you can do, particularly if you really want to be sure, ask your financial advisor, can I reach out to some of your clients? Do you have any other clients who live in Chicago? Do you have any other clients who live in Nice, Paris, wherever it is? And your financial advisor should be able to provide you with someone. They might not have someone in your exact city, but if they're good at their job and they do a lot of pension transfers, they should be able to say to you, okay, I've spoken to XYZ client and he's happy for you to reach out to them. This happens a lot at Cameron James, and some of my clients have maybe had 5 or 10 calls over the past couple of years from new clients, but they're never worried about it because they've been through the same process as you. Ultimately, a lot of them actually started off with other advisory firms before coming over to Cameron James. So they feel your pain and they're more than happy to help out. Particularly being an expat, as you probably are, you also understand that meeting other British people in your country or near your country can be quite fun. So that's something I would always ask your financial advisors for. In fairness, if you're working with a financial advisor who's just started in the industry, he might not have that many testimonials. So from that perspective, you just need to base him on how he feels, are you comfortable, and do you trust him? The other thing you need to find out is the company you're working with highly regarded in the industry? How long have they been around for? How long do they look like they're going to be in the industry for? For example, at Cameron James, we give commentary to the Financial Times on all DB pension transfer matters. I sit on the DB advice committee, and basically, this is our indication to our clients that we're serious about this. We give commentary to the Financial Times. You can go and read it online. If the Financial Times value our opinion, then we also think our clients should value our opinion. So that's a little bit of background as to doing your homework on working with a final salary pension transfer specialist. We also have another video, which you can click the link above to go to our specialist page to learn a little bit more. But apart from that, I hope you've got a bit of a better understanding of things today. Please remember to subscribe below to obviously keep up to date with anything else we have to say. And as I mentioned before, if you wish to reach out to me personally to discuss your own pension, you can click the links below into my Calendly. You can book an appointment with me, or you can even WhatsApp me or go through our website. So I think you've found it today valuable. I look forward to speaking with you soon, and I hope you enjoy our following videos. Thank you. Bye-bye.